The Heart Sutra, Avalokiteshvara, practicing deeply in the wisdom that carries us beyond, saw clearly that the 5 skandhas are empty by nature, and in that seeing, all suffering fell away. Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, and emptiness is no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form, and the same is true of feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. Shariputra, all things are by nature empty. They do not come into being, and they do not pass away. They are not impure, and they are not pure. They do not grow, and they do not diminish. And so, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no perception, no mental formation, no consciousness. There are no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. There is no color, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no object of thought. There is no realm of sight and no realm of mind. There is no ignorance and no ending of ignorance. There is no old age and death and no ending of old age and death. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no end of suffering, and no path. There is no wisdom and nothing to attain. Because there is nothing to attain, the Bodhisattva rests in perfect wisdom. The mind is free with nothing in its way, and because there is nothing in its way, there is no fear. Freed from confusion, freed from illusion, one enters complete peace. All Buddhas of the past, the present, and the future awaken through this perfect wisdom and come to full enlightenment. So know this: perfect wisdom is the great mantra, the radiant mantra, the highest mantra, the incomparable mantra. It takes away all suffering. It is true and never false. And so the mantra is spoken: Gate Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisvaha. What if I told you the Heart Sutra isn't a religious text at all? Let's strip away the incense, the temples, and the centuries of religious dogma. Let's look at this purely as a structural schematic. What if it's actually a compressed map of human consciousness? Forget the ancient rituals for a second. Think of this as a highly detailed operator's manual. It's a document engineered for seeing exactly how your mind, your identity, and your daily suffering are constructed at a micro level. It is an algorithmic breakdown of the human condition. That's what makes this text brilliant. It takes massive, incomprehensible insights about the universe and compresses them into a tight format you can actually run in your daily life. It stops being distant, abstract philosophy and starts being the executable source code for your human experience. It explains exactly why we constantly get trapped in our own repetitive thoughts, why we desperately cling to who we think we are, and why a tiny passing moment of emotional pain can suddenly spiral into total system-crashing suffering. We are running faulty software. Let's talk about the concept of awakening. A lot of people think awakening is about escaping the simulation, like you just leave ordinary life behind, detach completely from human emotion, and float in some higher, untouchable realm where absolutely nothing bothers you ever again. But that's not it at all. The world keeps going. Thought continues, emotion continues. Your stressful job, your complex relationships, your financial struggles, they all continue. What actually changes here is not your external environment, but your internal center of gravity. Your core processing method, you just stop fusing yourself tightly to every single random thought passing through your head. You stop identifying with the noise. You still feel the full spectrum of emotion. You still move through life. But the dream no longer dictates your baseline reality. The dream doesn't abruptly end. Your tight, anxious grip on it does. And that subtle loosening, that changes absolutely everything about how you operate. So, let's diagnose the primary issue first. Let's talk about why your mind is constantly, chronically exhausted on a daily. Your brain wasn't built just to sit back, relax, and passively observe the world. It is a highly aggressive prediction engine. Its primary biological function is to constantly forecast, compare, rehearse, and endlessly scan the horizon for potential physical and psychological threats. It is constantly trying to outsmart potential pain by vividly imagining it before it even happens. It simulates 100 worst-case scenarios just to keep you safe. That is exactly why so much of your daily burnout isn't physical labor. It's heavy narrative friction. Even when you're sitting alone in a room in absolute physical silence, the machine is running a high-speed commentary. It's trying to make a chaotic life manageable by turning raw, unfiltered uncertainty into a neat little story. But that story has a massive metabolic cost. What exhausts us at the end of the day isn't the physical world itself. It's this relentless internal engine forcefully reconstructing the world long after the actual moment has passed. Pain usually starts as a very simple, isolated event in real time. A financial loss, a professional rejection, a brief moment of public humiliation, just a careless sentence someone threw your way in a meeting which they immediately forgot. In a vacuum, that event lasts maybe 10 seconds. It is just raw data hitting your senses. But suffering gets incredibly heavy when your mind forcefully grabs that neutral event and tightly binds it to your internal interpretation, your historical memory, and your core identity. A fleeting passing moment suddenly becomes a meaning. That meaning rapidly evolves into a story. And that story eventually becomes you. That is the exact point where fluid experience hardens into solid suffering. It stops being a temporary event you're moving through, and it starts feeling like a structural, permanent, and deeply personal attack on your existence. A temporary disturbance in your emotional field turns into a self-organizing prison. And once you're locked inside it, it feels like the negative experience literally became who you are. The Heart Sutra is designed to hack this exact feedback loop and force a system reboot. Here's the most honest, brutal part of the Heart Sutra. It absolutely refuses to let your ego hide behind soft, spiritual language. The ultimate goal might sound amazing on paper. Inner peace, total liberation, attaining a higher state of pure consciousness. But look closer. Underneath those beautiful, elevated words, the mechanical structure of grasping is exactly the same. Your ego didn't disappear. It just bought a brand new wardrobe. Instead of aggressively saying, "I want more money," it quietly says, "I want more transcendence." The language cleans up, but the underlying structure of desire and attachment remains completely intact. That is the ultimate trap of spiritual materialism. The self will take even a profound psychological transformation and quickly turn it into just another shiny possession to hoard. It's a subtle way of the ego saying, "Look at how enlightened I am. This inner peace belongs to me. To break this, you need to realize a hard truth about human perception. What you see right now isn't raw, unfiltered reality. It's an interface. Your perception isn't handing you the world in its full, high-definition, multi-dimensional depth. It's giving you a usable surface, a simplified, flattened rendering that is completely shaped and restricted by your evolutionary biology and your deeply ingrained cognitive filters. Whatever currently feels immediate, solid, and completely objective to you has already been heavily edited and processed before your conscious mind even notices it. Think of it like the desktop icons on your computer. They aren't the actual binary code, they are just useful symbols. Now, that doesn't mean the visible physical world is fake or an illusion in a magical sense. It just means it is fundamentally incomplete. You're encountering a heavily streamlined model, optimized strictly for basic survival and rapid navigation, not for objective truth. It is organized entirely around what's biologically useful for you, not what's entirely true about the universe. It helps you function in a complex environment, but it effectively hides the underlying code of reality. Modern cognitive neuroscience actually backs this ancient insight up perfectly. Your brain actively predicts before it passively perceives. It doesn't just sit there like a blank camera sensor waiting for reality to hit it. It actively forecasts what's probably out there in the dark, based entirely on your past memory, deeply worn habits and prior expectations. Then, and only then, the incoming sensory data from your eyes and ears forces the brain to update its initial guess. So, your conscious experience isn't just a live feed of external data. It is a highly negotiated compromise between mind. It's exactly what survives the messy collision between your brain's internal prediction and the external sensory correction. You are quite literally an active constructor of your own world. The only reason reality feels so immediate is because this rendering process happens at lightning speed. Let's be brutally honest about our hardware. Human perception runs on dial-up internet. Visible light is just a microscopic tiny sliver of the vast electromagnetic spectrum. Audible sound is a fraction of the available acoustic vibration happening all around us at this very second. Your nervous system filters this data aggressively. Your limited attention span filters it even more, and human language reduces that data even further into clumsy categories. By the time an experience reaches your actual waking consciousness, you're not getting raw, unedited reality. You're getting a highly compressed, easily manageable, low-resolution slice of it. When you truly grasp this, it's incredibly humbling. We confidently walk around, talking like we see the objective world exactly as it is, without any distortion. We are completely blind to our own blindness. But what we confidently call reality is just a survival-friendly, heavily edited simulation based strictly on what our limited cognitive bandwidth can afford to process without crashing. And this is exactly where the ancient algorithm of the Heart Sutra gets truly radical. It targets the very center of this simulation. What we fiercely defend as the self isn't a permanent, solid, unchanging entity. The text breaks you down into 5 distinct moving parts: physical form, raw feeling, cognitive perception, mental formation, and underlying consciousness. These 5 layers, the skandhas, fire together in such rapid, flawless succession that they effortlessly trick you into believing there's a coherent, permanent CEO sitting right at the center of your brain, pulling all the levers and making all the autonomous decisions. The self feels deeply like something you're born with, a solid, unshakable core that you have to aggressively defend from outside threats. But the absolute truth is, the you that feels so incredibly permanent is continuously being assembled moment by single moment. You are constructed out of rapidly changing moods, environmental conditions, and behavioral habits. The self is built on the fly, not found in a static state. And this brings us to the core mechanism and the single most misunderstood word in this entire philosophy: emptiness. We need to clear this up immediately. When you hear the word emptiness, your Western mind probably visualizes a dark void, a depressing blankness, or a nihilistic belief that absolutely nothing in life matters. You need to erase that definition from your hard drive right now. What emptiness actually means in this framework is this: absolutely nothing has an isolated, permanent, self-existing essence. Everything, and I mean everything, arises only in direct relation to something else. A wave only exists because of the ocean. The self only exists because of its environment. Everything constantly changes based on shifting conditions. Emptiness isn't a depressing denial of physical reality. It's a denial of independent solidity. It is the ultimate statement of interconnectedness. And from a strategic standpoint, that realization is a massive, unparalleled advantage. Because if nothing is frozen into a permanent, unchangeable state, then absolutely everything in your life is entirely open to movement, deep healing, and radical transformation. Your trauma isn't solid, your failures aren't solid, your current identity isn't permanently locked in. Forms disappear. Relationships end, identities break apart under pressure, but disappearing is rarely just simple, clean annihilation. Most of the time, what looks like it's totally lost has actually just shifted, diffused, or reconfigured into something you simply don't recognize yet. What we dramatically call an ending is usually just a massive energetic redistribution. Impermanence isn't just about harsh subtraction, it's about constant dynamic reconfiguration. This philosophy isn't meant to make you sink into despair about losing the things you love. It's a powerful invitation to stop looking at inevitable change through such a narrow, terrified lens. Once you clearly see that change isn't pure disappearance, but rather a transformation of energy, the whole operating system of your life feels a lot lighter and faster. The Heart Sutra does something you don't see often in modern self-help. It doesn't waste your precious time explaining a slow, tedious, step-by-step philosophy. Instead, it forcefully compresses massive reality-bending insights into a tiny, repeatable, highly potent form. It's dense by careful design. First, it methodically deconstructs your entire default operating system, your fragile self, your biased perception, and your heavy attachment. Then, through its specific cadence, it actively triggers a cognitive shift. This isn't just a passive essay you read once and put on a shelf. It's an executable file, a script you run. It's not just describing a psychological transformation from the outside like a textbook. It's mathematically structured to install that precise transformation from the inside, bypassing your logical defenses. Let's look at the mechanism. Language isn't just a tool for passing basic information back and forth. Some language explains data, sure, But some specialized language actually reorganizes the architecture of your attention. It changes the fundamental rhythm of your thoughts before your analytical brain can jump in and ruin it. That is the true neurological power of repetition. Running these same compressed phrases over and over can effectively quiet your loud inner narrative, bypass your rigid mental firewalls, and literally alter the physical texture and neural pathways of your mind. You don't always need more intellectual explanation. You don't need another podcast or another business book. Sometimes you just need raw cadence and pattern interruption to clear out the toxic mental structures that your ordinary, everyday reasoning just keeps reinforcing and making stronger. When things get hard internally, when anxiety spikes, most of us default to brute force. We apply more discipline, more rigid control, more aggressive pushing. We try to violently outmuscle our own minds, treating ourselves like machines that just need to be whipped harder. But forcefully applying pressure to a complex psychological system usually just amplifies the exact same destructive pattern you're desperately trying to break. You fight the mind, and the fight itself quickly becomes the brand new trap. You are feeding energy into the resistance. There is a much better, much more elegant move here. Drop the resistance entirely. Drop the exhausting internal narrative. Stop manufacturing the intense psychological pressure in the first place. The absolute deepest shift you can make in your personal development isn't about adding more effort. It's about systematically stopping the deeply ingrained habit of aggressively tightening up around every single uncomfortable experience. Look at the absolute cutting edges of different modern disciplines. Deep contemplation looks directly at human experience from the inside out. Advanced neuroscience maps exactly how human perception and the illusion of the self are physically assembled by neurons. Quantum physics fundamentally questions the actual physical solidity of material objects. They use completely different vocabularies, completely different mathematical methods, yet they all converge seamlessly on the exact same fracture in human certainty. What looks perfectly solid is actually constructed. What looks incredibly central is actually widely distributed. What looks undeniably self-evident is highly provisional and dependent on the observer. This matters deeply, because it practically proves that our everyday, ironclad, rigid sense of reality is far more of a fragile interpretation than we ever realized. Think about the rise of artificial intelligence for a minute. AI is a philosophical goldmine. This matters deeply because it practically proves that our everyday, ironclad, rigid sense of reality is far more of a fragile interpretation than we ever realized. Think about the rise of artificial intelligence for a minute. AI is a philosophical goldmine. AI acts as a perfect mirror for humanity. It shows us exactly how eager we are to project a self onto a basic algorithmic pattern. An LLM has no stable identity, no permanent center, just vast context, rapid input, and probabilistic response. Once you fully accept that framework, your own self stops feeling like a heavy, dense object that you have to constantly defend from criticism. It starts feeling incredibly light. It feels like an ongoing fluid construction that you've just been mislabeling your entire life. So what actually happens when you finally stop labeling everything? When your exhausted mind stops frantically trying to lock every single fluid experience into a fixed identity or a rigid conclusion, when you just let the raw data flow without judging it. What's left behind isn't a terrifying blank void. It's something much sharper, much more hyper-focused. It is pure awareness before the desire for possession kicks in. It is pristine presence before a logical conclusion is drawn. It is direct contact before the limiting concept. This is the ultimate threshold. Once the relentless labeling machine stops dominating your entire cognitive bandwidth, something much cleaner, much faster, and infinitely more direct finally has the open space to boot up. The system optimizes itself automatically. And this is the ultimate deliverable of decompiling the Heart Sutra. The end point isn't to withdraw from the loud, messy world into a quiet cave. It's to radically, fundamentally upgrade exactly how you interact with the world on a daily basis. You go out and you work intensely, but you strictly refuse to become only your job title. You love deeply and passionately, but you absolutely stop using anxious possession and control as the primary metric for how much you love. You build massive companies, art, and families without foolishly demanding that they last forever in a frozen state. You grieve devastating losses without ever letting that specific loss become your permanent, defining identity for the rest of your life. You walk forward confidently into the unknown without dragging every single past, outdated version of yourself along as heavy luggage. The ultimate directive of this 2,500-year-old code is incredibly simple, but flawlessly profound. Live fully. Cling less. Engage with the world at maximum capacity, but do it with zero friction. Meet life directly, head-on, with a lot less manufactured fear and a massive, unbelievable amount of internal freedom. This is where the old operating system permanently resets. You are no longer held captive by the narrative loading on your hardware. You understand that the self is just an assembly line and the interface is just a usable surface. The illusion of the solid core is gone. So the next time you feel the machine tightening, remember this algorithm. Drop the resistance. Stop feeding the narrative. The source code of your own consciousness is finally in your hands. Execute the shift. Presence, not possession. Reboot complete.